Welcome to Wild of the World, and I'm glad you're still traveling along with us on the big world trip, where the last time we already exchanged Asia for Australia. And in the first episode there you saw how we explored Margaret River, way down in the southwestern part of Australia. And from there the big road trip starts, because we're going up north all the way to Broome, and the first stop will be the big city, Perth. We hit the road with WA experts. The route between Margaret River and Perth was a sublime start to our adventure. In the Ningaloo Regional Park we visited the most beautiful beaches on the most southwestern tip of Australia. We also did a little wine tasting and headed into town with our travel friends Lennart and Marika. Wow guys, what a start of the day. We're heading towards Perth with the camper, and on the way I saw about 100 kangaroos hopping by into the farms and in the meadows. So I went up close to film them, and on the way I already saw some pelicans, some black cockatoos. It's an animal paradise, and a lot of flies here. Wow. So this month we are traveling through Western Australia, a state with not so many people, except for one place, because in the city behind me, Perth, live about 80% of all the people in this state, which is about 2 million. And the first settlers here from Europe came from Holland. It was the Dutchman called Willem de Vlaming who created the first settlement called Zwanenrivier, Swan River. And after that, in 1829, under the British flag, this grew out to be Perth, with a beautiful skyline nowadays as a result. Perth is the sunniest of all the state capitals in Australia, and it is also one of the most remote cities on Earth. At night, astronauts saw Perth clearly lit up in a totally dark land, and they gave it the nickname City of Light. The place from where I have this very great view on the skyline of the city of Perth is called Mount Eliza. It's a park, and it's also a monument to remember the people who fought in the First and Second World War. So a place you cannot skip. What's also very special are these beautiful red flowers. But are they flowers? How incredible are these baobab trees? The largest one over here is 750 years old. We already saw how the city of Perth has a great location right in the middle of nature. The sea is nearby and the woods. And there's a park called Kings Park and the Botanical Gardens, which you must visit because it's one of the biggest city parks in the entire world, and you can make a super nice walk along the coast. The best feature of the botanical gardens is that they brought together the plants from all the regions of Western Australia in one place, and so close to that beautiful skyline. The highlight of our walk through Kings Park and the Botanical Gardens is the Lottery West Federation Walkway, a super nice boardwalk high above the trees with some great views. Kom Jens. So while Suus and Jens are trying to find a nice playground over there in the city, I'm walking back to the car and I took a little shortcut through the bushes. I thought it might be more adventurous, but I saw a sign on the way that said, beware of snakes. So this might be my last video, guys. During a walk through Perth, we come across a lot of striking buildings, such as the St. George Cathedral, the London Court, the Trinity Church, and also the modern bell tower between all the skyscrapers. Time to dive into the heart of Perth. And if you want some history lessons like the earlier settlements by the Europeans, you're not in the right place here, because this is the modern city. You can find more history in the outskirts like Fremantle, but this is Elizabeth Quay, where everything is hot and happening. Architecture lovers will not be disappointed here. It looks like the Manhattan of Western Australia. How fun is this, guys? We're at Island Brew House, which is on an island actually in the Swan River, and we do a little beer tasting over here. So all the beers are from right here. Cheers!
Cheers!
Oh, I got IPA. Whew. The first time that I visited Australia was about 6 years ago on the East Coast, and we saw so many animals, and that's what I like best about Australia. But on the West Coast you do not have the koalas, and they're super cute. So if you want to see those, I recommend you go to Kohunu Koala Park in Perth, especially with the little one. It's super fun, and a lot of other animals too. We just came in the park and we're already greeted by this emu. But like I said, we came for these mega cute little creatures. The small nature reserve has a population of 25 koalas, which is very unique on this side of Australia. So nice, they can talk. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
What's very cool is that we also encounter some intruders. Some of the curious wallabies and kangaroos came from outside the park, but are actually wild. Wow guys, that was so much fun. Which animal did you like the most, Jens?
Our crocodile.
Crocodiles? Wow. I like the kangaroos best. We camp on the outskirts of Perth in the harbour town called Fremantle. And as I mentioned earlier, that's the oldest colonial site in the area. In Fremantle we travel back in time. The countless colorful historical buildings resemble the backdrop of a movie set. It's a beautiful day, the sun is shining and it's the perfect day to go to an island near Perth, about a half an hour away with the ferry, and it's named Rottnest Island, a place that you can never skip when you're in Perth. The return boat trip from Fremantle, a harbour town near Perth, cost us $40. In half an hour you can sail to the most idyllic island of the west coast. Rottnest is a must visit for several reasons. Not only because of the beautiful nature and that it's so close to Perth with all the beautiful beaches and bays around here, but another reason for which we have to go back into history. Because the Dutch called this Rottennest, and later it was named Rottnest because it was a nest full of rats. And these rats are still here, but actually they are the cutest animals in the world. And we're gonna see them later. So let's head out and look for them. And we do this by bike, because Rottnest Island is completely car-free. We start on the south coast of this island, which is less than 20 square kilometers in size. Rottnest is an ideal island for one day, because on the bike you can explore the island easily in one day and see all the sights. The first stop is Henrietta Rocks, which is also a perfect beach for snorkeling. So don't forget to bring your snorkeling gear. The water is beautiful, guys, but if you think the sun is shining so it might be warm, it's really cold. So we want to go in, but I don't know if Jens is going to do it. I surely dare to take a dive because I'm curious what it looks like underwater. Between the shipwrecks I see all kinds of fish swimming by. We say goodbye to this paradise beach because we still have a good bike ride to go. And by the way, a bicycle will cost you about 20 bucks for the whole day, and our trip is about 25 kilometers long. We see a lot of these skinks, big snake-like lizards.
All the way on the most southern tip of the island we find the most extraordinary bay. The blue one behind me is called Little Salmon Bay.
The one blue bay is even more beautiful than the other, but it's about time to find those cute quokkas somewhere.
The super cute animals I was talking about are the quokkas. And they're not like big rats at all, because they're fuzzy and they have super funny smiley faces. And it's the only place in the world where you can find them here on Rottnest Island, the quokkas.
Look at those cute faces! I literally melted down to a puddle over here. Because quokkas have no enemies, they are not afraid and very curious.
Our next stop is the icon of the island of Rottnest, the lighthouse.
And even more quokkas. We cycle across a large salt lake on this beautiful island that looks like another planet.
This morning we began our trip around Rottnest Island. From the settlement we went to the south, we saw the most beautiful beaches, and we went up north straight through the middle of the island, saw some quokkas, the lighthouse, and now we ended up in the north. And over here is Little Parakeet Bay, and it's like heaven. Look at this, guys.
The north side of Rottnest turns out to be a true bird paradise, and in my opinion, the basin has the most beautiful beach.
You have beautiful beaches everywhere on Rottnest. This here is Geordie Bay. That's it, guys, for Rottnest Island. We saw so many beautiful things, all the sights and the beaches, and the quokkas, they are the cutest animals in the world. I can agree. So let's move on, head out in West Australia for the rest of our tour.
We take the camper, not this one. Yes, that one. And continue the road trip through the no man's land of Western Australia. And you're still joining our epic trip from Perth to Broome on the west coast of Australia. You already saw the start in Perth and down to Margaret River. And now we continue our trip on the west coast, and these views are common over here. These canyonlands halfway on our way to Broome. From Perth we'll be driving more and more into the beautiful nature. A rough nature like the landscape over here. We're visiting the Pinnacles today. Super strange moon landscape like rocks in the desert. And we're making a route called the Desert Drive. And we do so in this awesome four-wheel drive by WA experts. This extraordinary landscape is just a 2-hour drive away from Perth. Online we purchased a park pass for $40 with access to all national parks in Western Australia, and you need one per car. The entire Pinnacles Desert is about 17,000 hectares big, and all these strange rock sculptures were created by the sea millions of years ago. So now it's all land, and when the Dutch explorers first saw this from the boat, they thought it was an abandoned city. The biggest pinnacle is about 3.5 meters tall, and you can walk through them as much as you like. There are millions. Oh my god, I just jumped out of the car because I didn't expect to see any wildlife here, but there were 3 emus, a mother and 2 babies. Check it out. The tour through the Pinnacles is a must, as this landscape is quite unique for the whole world. The Pinnacles are in the middle of the desert, but they're also quite close to the sea. And how often do you get the chance to visit a beautiful turquoise bay from the desert within an hour? Well, that's Jurien Bay, because we drove an hour, and this is the most beautiful blue bay in the area. On the water we see many pied cormorants, and you can usually spot sea lions here. This is the first taste of what's about to come, because Western Australia has the most beautiful coastline in the world. Time to drive on to more natural wonders. We have so many more miles to cover here on the west coast of Australia that today we just decided to keep on driving until the nightfall was there. And it's getting dark, so we stopped at Geraldton. It's kind of an industrial town, and we sleep with this view behind us, so very cool, and we're gonna look for some food. Let's go, guys. So we decided on KFC because it was the only restaurant nearby. Oh.
Oh, I'm singing.
The more we drive up north along the west coast of Australia, the better the weather gets. The sun is shining, and it makes sense because it's turning summer. And we're moving on to a colored lake and a beautiful spot to spend the night.
Our next stop is the Hot Lagoon, also known as Pink Lake. A beautiful place on the west coast of Australia, and I'm actually standing here on the salt because this is a salt lake and this color is created by the small organisms that live inside the water, like bacteria. Especially from the sky, this is an amazing view. Now I've seen colored lakes before, but this cotton candy colored Barbie pool is ridiculous. And this is where we sleep. Between that beautiful pink lake, the Hot Lagoon, and the ocean, there's a little stretch of land on which there's a little town called Gregory. And we're in the town Gregory on a campsite, and there's not much people here, so it feels like we're going further into no man's land, further into Western Australia and right in the middle of nature. The sun is shining, and we're going to drive a little bit further today to Kalbarri. We drive back along that beautiful Hot Lagoon, and within the hour we arrive at the high cliffs of Kalbarri. While we are traveling up north on the west coast, the next spot that we visit is about 500 kilometers from Perth, and it's called Kalbarri National Park. And the first part is on the coast. It reminds me a bit of the Great Ocean Road in the south of Australia, and the other part is on the land. So we're gonna explore Kalbarri National Park next. There are several beautiful views that you can reach by a short but beautiful walk. Through the town of Kalbarri we drive into the outback for the very first time. So we moved on to the part of Kalbarri National Park that's on the land, and the landscape is already incredible. We stopped at Nature's Window. There's a small trail of 400 meters there and back, and just look at this view, guys, on the way. Wow. We soon see that Kalbarri can easily compete with the Wild Wild West in America, where we were earlier this trip. What a wonderful, rugged nature.
This is it, guys, Nature's Window. And what a window it is. So we moved on to the next stop, guys, and it's not for the faint-hearted because I'm standing on the skywalk. This is one of the bridges and the other one is over there. And as you can see, you're just hanging above the ravine with nothing beneath you. And you can look between your feet, and between the bars, you'll see the ground. So the view is amazing though. Woo! Be sure to keep your eyes open, guys, in Kalbarri, because I saw this giant monitor lizard right over there. Look. From the skywalk we drove about 15 minutes and then I had to walk another 15 minutes to see the next highlight. This is Bend Z, where the river makes the shape of a Z and you can look between the cliffs, which is picture perfect, guys. The sun is almost going down and this is the golden hour with the light. And it's time for us to exit the Kalbarri National Park, but not before we see the last spot, which is Hawk's Head.
Hawk's Head owes its name to the birds of prey that fly here in abundance. But the place is also your best chance to encounter wallabies, right here on the parking lot. A beautiful ending to an incredible area.
Wow guys, we just kept on driving and it's already pretty dark out. It's about 8 o'clock. And we didn't see any villages on the road yet for a couple of hundreds of kilometers, so we just stopped at the roadside in the bush to make what we already ate yesterday. It's Asian wok sauce with some Mexican wraps, why not? Because you're camping, right? That's West Australia.
One big advantage of Australia is that you can camp everywhere, and it's usually for free. From the bright blue Hamlin Pool, it's about a 1.5 hour drive to heaven on earth. I think it's the most beautiful place on the entire West Coast.
After the road trip with some mind-blowing views, we arrive at Peron Peninsula, and this place is incredible. As you can see, the water is crystal clear and there's supposed to be some dolphins out there as well. It looks like the Caribbean, or maybe even more beautiful. And we're in a town called Denham, just to do a little shopping, to get some gas, and then we're moving up north here, to explore this peninsula, guys. Wow!
Since there are many uninhabited places on the West Coast, you should fill up your car at every chance. And I wasn't just talking about diesel, you know? next few days we'll be spending at one of the most terrific spots here in Peron Peninsula, and it's called Monkey Maya, a very strange name, but it's world famous in Australia. We have a very nice campsite, we have all the facilities like a kitchen, playgrounds, a swimming pool, a super nice access to the beach, but the surroundings here, they are stunning. I'll show you with my drone.
Monkey Maya is a nature reserve with just one campsite. Maya comes from the Aboriginals and means home. And monkeys seem to have been here in the past, as pets of Malaysian immigrants. The water at Monkey Maya is so clear that you can spot all kinds of animals even with the drone, like this group of stingrays. But also this sea turtle. How bizarre is this?
Wow guys, on the campsite there are so many emus walking around and Jens is a bit scared of them, just as his mother. Jens? But I think they're pretty great. Wild animals, how often do you see those? Jij bent bang.
We fully enjoy this paradise, which has several swimming pools, playgrounds, restaurants and bars. Yet we only pay about $30 a night for our family.
A very good morning guys, I'm just making a nice stroll here among the pelicans and I was on my way to see the dolphin experience because every morning here in Monkey Maya they have a dolphin experience and they feed some female dolphins that they know of that come every day. But instead of those dolphins, a wild one, like an unknown one, a male, came by and I caught that one on camera. So everybody was very surprised this morning and I had a very good dolphin experience.
From about 7 AM I've been waiting for the dolphins, which did not show up. But when almost everyone has already left, my big pal over here swims by.
Oh, and of course don't forget to say hello to my friends the pelicans over here. Hey guys, good morning. Got some fish today? No?
The next spot that we're visiting on the west coast of Australia is called Shark Bay. The entire area is very big. They got some peninsulas, beautiful beaches, a lot of blue bays, and this area is not very populated. It's all nature and it's UNESCO World Heritage. We're spending the day in François Peron National Park, and to go there you have to have a 4x4 car and we have to reduce the air in our tires because we're driving on the sand. So we're standing in line and
this park is very special because it's the heart of Shark Bay and we're gonna see some very nice spots here in the dunes. On this side of the road it's time to deflate our tires, and when we leave the park again we can inflate them on the other side, and the pressure that you have to aim at would be around 20. So here we go. Takes a while.
François Peron was a French explorer and naturalist who crossed the country here in 1801, but probably without such an awesome four-wheel drive camper with 2 rooftop tents.
The place to be in the François Peron National Park that we drove towards is Big Lagoon. It's already pretty from down here on the beach with all the colors of the nature on the land and in the water, but wait till you see it from the sky, because this is a true artwork.
Well, this is what we came for. You can really only find such bizarre cocktail coastlines in Australia.
Our next stop, guys, and I think you can guess which place this is, because if there's a big lagoon, there must be a little lagoon as well, which is this one, and it's not that little, by the way. It's perfect and blue.
Now that's what I call a beautiful natural pool. And close to the little lagoon we return to the relaxed town of Denham.
It's almost time to leave Shark Bay. But before we do, there's one more place I'd like to show you. It's called Shell Beach and it's one of the most beautiful beaches around here. And also Jens is playing in this playground over here, and there are worse places to wait until your child is finished playing. So many beautiful spots, guys. The one behind me here at the bay is called Eagle Bluff. And this lookout, it's incredible.
The expensive Shell Beach is no less than 60 kilometers long and is located on the southern shore of Shark Bay. It is one of only 2 beaches in the world that is made entirely of shells instead of sand.
We've been driving a long route already along the west coast of Australia, and if I can notice one difference with the east coast, it's that there's so much beautiful nature here that sometimes you drive for hours with nothing there. So no cell phone reach, no shops and no campsites. It doesn't really matter because we found a little place in between the Shark Bay and the Ningaloo Reef that we're heading towards, and it's Carnarvon. We're staying here on a nice campsite. so we can do some shopping and do some watching television and stuff. And after that, it's into the bush again. The town of Carnarvon is super remote, but it has everything to take a well-deserved break from the traveling. We stock up on food, fill up the car on gas, and discover the history of this city. Carnarvon is truly an Aboriginal town, but it has also had a turbulent colonial past since 1883. About 80% of all the fruit and vegetables in Western Australia come from here. And off the coast, this is the most southern tip of the Ningaloo Reef. But to visit that beautiful reef, we drive another 3 hours up north to a world-famous sky blue bay. So we found the perfect campsite near to the Coral Bay. And Coral Bay is one of the most beautiful areas on the west coast of Australia because of its blue waters and perfect white sand beaches. It's next to the Ningaloo Reef, and the Ningaloo Reef is the equivalent of the Great Barrier Reef that you have on the east side of Australia, but this is the one on the west side and it's just as pretty. We're staying on this beach today, but we're also going to explore some beaches in the area because there are so many beautiful spots down here. There are worse places to set up camp. Coral Bay has 2 campsites and they both cost about $40 a night. But for that money, you're in the middle of this snorkeling paradise. We drove a bit further up north and there are so many beautiful beaches, and one of them on a cape is called Skeleton Beach. We're going onto the beach with the 4x4. I just have to get some pressure out of the tires. How adventurous is this? With our 4-wheel drive, we cross the beach to the very tip called Cape Maud. Time for some fish and chips and beers. Today it's time to explore that Ningaloo Reef, which is one of the most beautiful reefs in the world. And in comparison to the other one, the Great Barrier Reef, the reef starts right at the beach. So today we drove to the lagoon and to Oyster Bridge, 2 beautiful snorkeling spots, so let's explore the underwater world of West Australia. We lowered the tire pressure to about 15 psi, as we will be cruising through the soft sand of these dunes. The whole route and the bizarre views along the coast just north of Coral Bay are already breathtaking. And we haven't even been in the water yet.
the lagoon there are many colored fish and sea turtles. We drive on to Oyster Bridge and are so remote now that it feels like the end of the world. The sand here is so white that it looks like snow.
Wow guys, that last drive towards Oyster Bridge was one of the best scenic drives I ever had. You saw it with the drone over the sand dunes down to the beach with this crazy blue water, and we felt like the only people on earth over there. But now we're moving on. Behind me the sign says it all, from Coral Bay to Exmouth.
Now we drive another 150 kilometers up north.
We're here guys, this is Exmouth and it's about 40 degrees Celsius, so if I need anything right now, it's a swimming pool. So we spent the night in Exmouth, and one of the main reasons to go to this part of Australia is Cape Range National Park. It's the most northwestern part of Australia on the Northwest Cape. And it's beautiful both above and below the water surface, so let's explore that today.
We use our Park Pass again, which gives access to all the national parks in Western Australia for 1 month. It costs about 60 Aussie dollars per car, and I guarantee it is worth your while. We start at the most beautiful beach.
Our first stop here in Cape Range National Park is the Turquoise Bay, which is one of the most beautiful snorkeling spots not only here, but in the entire west coast of Australia. And as you can see, it already looks pretty good above water. I'm practically the only person here, but I'm gonna walk right into the Ningaloo Reef. That's the main reason to go here. You're practically inside the reef already to see all the beautiful tropical fish and the coral.
Unlike the Great Barrier Reef on Australia's east coast, you don't need a boat here to explore the reef. And the colors of the water seem like another world. What we also like is that it is incredibly quiet in this heavenly place. I don't even see any other snorkelers. On the other hand, I see enough colored fish and the coral is also beautiful. I also come across this hawksbill turtle.
This oldie must be about 50 years old and it's a meter long. Wow guys, that was so awesome! Let's find out more about the different landscapes around Exmouth further on.
I really love the Ningaloo Reef, guys, but we moved on to see the park above land as well. From the Turquoise Bay we drove about 15 minutes to the next spot, which is Mandu Gorge. You can see it behind me already, but there's a small trail to walk from 1 to 2 hours. So while the wife and kid are having lunch, I'm gonna walk the trail because it's like 35 degrees Celsius, pretty hot, but the views are amazing.
It only takes you half an hour from a dive in the coral to this gigantic Grand Canyon landscape. This is the only limestone plateau on the entire west coast, and the canyon is about 300 meters deep at its deepest point. We drive on and see the most beautiful beaches just about every kilometer on the route to the south.
Today we drove the entire Cape Range National Park from north to south, and we end at Yardy Creek. Yardy Creek is beautiful. It's a river and you can make a little boat ride, but you can also fly over it with a drone if you got one. Oh, I do have one, so let's do that.
What a spectacular landscape with so many colors. Yardy Creek is the only river in the park where the rest of the valleys are bone dry. Time to drive back to Exmouth, the town that is so remote that the nearest cities are about 500 kilometers away. But they got everything for tourists and the campsites are fantastic.
Pizza time!
So the last couple of days we truly enjoyed ourselves seeing all the natural sights around Exmouth on the Northwest Cape. But before we leave, we're gonna see the village a bit, explore a little bit, see the town beach, and then we have 6 hours drive ahead of us because we're going into the Australian outback. Another dream come true, so let's head on over there. I look at Exmouth from above for one last time and see the amazing location on the Northwest Cape. And then we drive on to the next natural wonder, the canyon lands of Karijini. Welcome to the Outback, guys. We drove for 3 to 4 hours already. We're over halfway towards Tom Price, a little town close to Karijini National Park. And yeah, I just stepped outside and it's like 45 degrees Celsius. Susie's making coffee, so I actually hope it's iced coffee this time. It feels like 100 degrees out here. But this is what it looks like, the Outback. The Australian outback is characterized by the rugged nature and a lack of civilization. So for the last time in this little mining town called Tom Price, we stock up on fuel, water and food. Our very first outback dinner in the dark, guys. It's pitch black. We have roasted chicken and sandwiches with cheese.
Enjoy, guys!
We didn't just leave the west coast and enter the outback for no reason. No, we wanted to visit Karijini National Park, which is a beautiful natural park with some gorgeous, beautiful canyon landscapes, rock sculptures, lakes and waterfalls. So we're gonna do some hiking and swimming in the waterfalls. And look at the views. With our park pass, which gives access to the national parks for 60 Aussie dollars per car for a month, we drive through the wild nature to all the highlights. Those highlights are gorgeous. Big cracks in the earth filled with water. They are the oasis of the desert. Our first stop today will be Hammersley Gorge. The gorge here behind me, it's a beautiful gorge with blue water and at the end there's a waterfall. We woke up very early to go here today because in no time it will be around 40 degrees Celsius. It's now still a nice 35, which is fine for me, and you have the pool here to cool off. I'm going to swim to the waterfall. Wow guys, the water is so cold, like fresh, really good. And I wouldn't expect this because it's 35 degrees out, but the water between the rocks is still cool in the shadows. I'm swimming towards the waterfall now. Whoa. The Hammersley Gorge is the most remote in the far northwest of Karijini. But it's worth your while because where in the world can you do this?
Wow guys, that swim was one of the best swims I ever had. It's so hot and the water is so cool, but unfortunately we have to move on because there's more to see in Karijini. We started the day at Hammersley Gorge, which is all the way on the rim of Karijini National Park, and we now drove to the heart where all the sites are. We drove for about 1 hour on the dirt roads, but the views on the way are amazing, and we now stopped at Joffrey Gorge.
Whatever you did, can you do some more now? Swear you got me falling for your isolate. Whatever you get, can you take some more now? Swear you got me crazy all night and day.
Joffrey Gorge is often referred to as a natural amphitheater. The water has transformed the gorge into a work of art, and we can see that clearly with the drone from the sky.
What a view, guys, on Joffrey Gorge. Unfortunately, this is not a place we can swim because it's too shallow. It's turning summer and the water is almost dried out, as you can see, but we just have to move on to the next one to take a dive.
Swear you got me falling for your isolate. Whatever you get, can I take some more now? Swear you got me crazy all night and day.
At Knox Gorge, a Grand Canyon-like view awaits us. Unfortunately, there are no fences at this view, so we thought it was a little bit too dangerous for little Jens. Just over my feet, I looked down for hundreds of meters into the depth.
Our next stop is a parking lot that gives access to two different gorges, and one is called Hancock Gorge, but it joins another gorge, and that's the Wiano Gorge. I'm standing in Wiano right now, and you have some amazing views if you walk on the bottom towards some natural pools, guys. So let's walk.
From the Wiano Gorge I walk across the bottom to the Hancock Gorge. Down here it's awesome to see it from the other side for a change. But of course I'm also curious how this will all look from the sky. With the drone I see how the earth has been torn open and what a bizarre piece of nature has emerged at the intersection of the two gorges.
It's almost time for us to leave Karijini National Park, but before we do, there's one more spot I'd like to show you, which is Dale's Gorge. We're at the viewpoint where we're looking down on the circular pool.
So we started in the far west of Karijini, and this beautiful round gorge is all the way in the east.
So if I'd had to choose one spot in this park before we leave that I really want to recommend, it's Hammersley Gorge, and it's the first place we visited with the beautiful waterfall to swim in.
In Western Australia's second largest national park, we almost ran out of fuel. So we get some gas because we still have 3 hours straight up to the coast in the north.
Last night, after our spectacular adventure in the outback in Karijini, we drove for about 4 hours and it was dark when we arrived at this camping. We're in Port Hedland, a harbour town with not so many things to do but spectacular views over the beaches. We just chillax here for a couple of days, we need the swimming pool because it's very hot, and then we head on to Broome, the end of this spectacular road trip.
Our campsite in Port Hedland is again in an amazing spot. But keep in mind that not far from here is the largest port city in all of Australia. It's like I said, guys, with temperatures like these, a swimming pool is a must. Over here you also find the largest salt producer in the world, called Dampier Salt. And we get a nice sneak peek as we drive on to Broome.
On the road again, I just can't wait to get on the road again. We are on the road again and we just stopped to get some drinks from the back, and I just wanted to say it's a 45 degrees Celsius out here. We're going to 80 Mile Beach and Cape Korodran on the way, our next destinations. But if I don't go back in the car quickly with the air conditioning on, I would probably be lying here on the floor in a puddle. The sun is burning.
The further north we drive up that west coast, the more beautiful the colors become. This cape is located 2 hours from Port Hedland, surrounded by a vast natural park.
So I'm standing here on the beach of Cape Korodran, and as you can see in the back, it has beautiful big red rocks right next to the water that has many different shades of blue. And now I'm standing on the beach right between the rocks, and those are very cool as well, because if you look up close you see all kinds of fossils and shellfish, and I don't know what's going on here.
How awesome is it to walk around on this beach? Cape Korodran seems like a biology class, but outdoors.
From the Cape we drove another 2 hours to our next destination where we're gonna spend the night, and it's 80 Mile Beach. And we stopped here because I saw a bunch of wallabies hopping over the roads. The sun is setting and you always see a lot of wildlife then. They're still over there. After those 2 hours drive, we find our campsite at the famous 80-mile beach. And that also turns out to be the only inhabited place in the middle of nowhere. Nevertheless, we do come here for something very special. On the beach, we hope to witness one of Australia's greatest natural wonders.
Wow guys, this is so awesome. Normally you wouldn't say that this is the most beautiful beach that you ever saw in your life. Except for today and in the months November and December, because the turtles come to the land here to lay their eggs. And today we see dozens of them everywhere around us, digging holes and laying their eggs. It's a natural phenomenon.
The sea turtles embark on an exhausting journey across the white beach around sunset. Their instincts lead them into the dunes, where they are determined to fulfill their primary purpose in life. They lay and bury their eggs never to return again. So how special are we as witnesses? As we stick around, we see one after the other shuffling across the beach, just in time before it gets dark.
Wow guys, what happened here on the beach last night was truly amazing and one of my best experiences in all my travels so far, to see all the turtles on the beach laying their eggs. But unfortunately it's also time to leave. This morning we're driving towards our final destination of this road trip along the west coast, which is Broome. So Broome, here we come baby, for a final big bang. Wow guys, it's another super hot day today. It's nearly 50 degrees Celsius and we just stopped for gas on the way. This is called the Savannah Way. It's right in the middle of the desert and there is a wind, but it feels more like an oven. And I think when we get to Broome, the first thing we need is a swimming pool. We're here guys, this is Broome. After a month of traveling along the west coast of Australia, we started in Perth, saw all the beautiful things on the way, and now we stepped outside and already the air feels more tropical. It's humid, it's warm, and this is Broome. We have 4 days left to explore the area. It's so beautiful here.
Yes guys, that area around Broome is worth it. This is the most southern point of a region called the Kimberley Coast, a geological paradise where fossils, pearls, but even dinosaur tracks can be found.
Broome is a cozy little town, but especially the surroundings make it a great town. If you drive for 15 minutes to either side, you will find the ocean, which is blue, the mangrove trees inside, the red sands and the beautiful rocks. And the first stop that we make today is Rhubarb Bay, just a little east of the town. From Rubok Bay we drove about 15 minutes to the other side of Broome, on the most southwestern point. It's called Ganthome Point and you will find even more beautiful colors here. The green, the red rocks and the most beautiful blue ocean I have seen so far here on the west coast. And it's especially beautiful from above with the drone. Back in 1801, when Australia was still called New Holland, this cape was named after Honoré Ganthome during a French expedition. At low tide you can spot dinosaur footprints from the coast. Again we notice that this area is particularly quiet. In places like this we are all alone. Could Western Australia perhaps be the traveler's best kept secret? From Broome it's totally worth it to drive up north for an hour or so, because there are two significant places along these dirt roads and you'll find the first one at about half an hour, which is called Willie's Creek. And at Willie's Creek there are some oyster farms. And at the oyster farms they do not only catch the oysters, but they also find pearls in them. And the pearls they can sell, so it's a real business over here. And after that we'll drive on to the next spot, which is James Price Point. On the rocks, a beautiful view over the ocean. And I don't have to tell you guys that the road over there is already very adventurous. So this is what an oyster farm looks like. I wasn't expecting a barnyard with wooden doors, but this is incredible. And this is James Price Point with the beautiful red rocks. That's it guys, unfortunately it's time to leave Broome. And also it's the end of the episode and the end of our fantastic road trip along the west coast of Australia. We've been to the east coast before, where it's booming, hot and happening, and so much to see as well. But the west coast was serene, it's nature, it's untouched. And we loved it so much that I can recommend everybody to see the west coast of Australia at one point in your lifetime. Because this is really back to nature like nothing else. And for us it's time to move on, because this world trip is not over and we're going to the Philippines to do some island hopping. I'll see you there. We keep enjoying this wonderful swimming pool in the Australian summer heat. Because before we know it, we'll be boarding the next roller coaster. A great adventure awaits us in the Philippines with actual wonders of the world. Ciao!